Ladies and gentlemen, I have this pleasure to welcome you today on our webinars on behalf of Invest in Pomerania and Live More Pomerania project. Today we will be speaking with our experts about applying for Polish visa, and this is the main subject of our event today. With this webinar, we begin the whole new series of webinars called New to Tricity. And within this project, we would like to answer for all of the questions that foreigners who come to Poland might have. So to help you to feel the best here in the Tricity. So our guests today are Mrs. Magdalena Dymbel from Fragom and Company, Mrs. Monika Grzelak from PAIH, so Polish Investment and Trade Agency, and Mr. Piotr Apostolidis from the Polish Embassy in Minsk, Belarus. So without further ado, I think that I will just give the floor to Mrs. Magdalena, who will be speaking about Polish visas procedures. She'll explain you all the details about how to apply for Polish visa and why it is necessary. So Magda, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Anya. Thank you very much. Well, it's a great pleasure for me being able to take part in this project, and thank you very much for inviting me. So maybe I'll start from a very short introduction. So Fragment is a firm dedicated exclusively to immigration services worldwide, and we assist our clients with immigration all over the world. So actually right now in over 170 countries. In Poland, we have been assisting clients for many years, as it is one of the main European destinations for us. And I personally have been working on Poland immigration matters for a long time. And today we'll be discussing with my kind co-presenters the Poland visa matters. So what we'll try and cover today. Hopefully my screen will start working. Here we are. So we will have a look at the Polish immigration system very briefly. Then I wanted to talk a little bit about entry, stay, and work in Poland, whether one needs a visa, and visa categories. We'll spend some time on the D visa to Poland, then on the procedure, common errors as we see them in the application forms, work permits and work permit exemptions, because work is the main purpose of stay or entry to Poland from our perspective. And then work authorization process and COVID entry restrictions, just summarizing who can or who cannot enter Poland these days. So Poland immigration system. In the Polish law, we have many solutions for foreigners and their employers, and requirements, processing times, employment eligibility or benefits for accompanying family members vary by visa category. Poland is part of European Union as well as Schengen, and also Poland is a signatory of number of international agreements. In terms of how Polish immigration system is organized, it's the Ministry of Interior that oversees immigration matters in Poland, but with engagement of several governmental bodies, and these are this is Office of Foreigners, local immigration offices, so urzędy wojewódzkie, as we call them in Polish, labor offices, and of course consular posts responsible for consular matters. So let's look now at the entry, stay, and work in Poland. Entrance and work requirements in Poland depend on the nationality of a foreign national, not only, of course, but this is what we'll concentrate on today. EU nationals do not need to complete any pre-arrival formalities in Poland and can enter the country and start employment, if this is the purpose of stay, really from the first day of being in the country. For short-term stay, they don't need to complete any immigration formalities. For long-term stay, they are required to register they stay with the local immigration office, local Urząd Wojewódzki. For non-EU nationals, nationality, as well as purpose of entrance stay and length of stay, will always determine formalities that they need to complete. So for stay for up to 90 days, they may need a C, Schengen visa. Of course, if they're not visa exempt, and we will talk about that a little bit later. And should the purpose of entry be work, they might need a work authorization. For long stay, over 90 days, they will need to obtain a long-term D national visa and potentially a work permit if this is why they're coming to Poland, or alternatively, if they're already in the country, they may apply for residency permit at the local immigration office. So, how to identify if I need a visa? EU and EFTA, so European Free Trade Association nationals, do not need a visa to enter Poland. So they enter freely without any pre-arrival formalities, once again. Non-EU nationals, so the group you are looking at the top of the right side of the page, so-called visa exempt, do not need a visa to enter Poland for a short stay, for up to 90 days, but they need one when planning to remain in Poland for longer. Non-EU nationals, so-called visa nationals, need a visa from day one, no matter the length of stay. So, for example, as we have here on the slide, Chinese, Indian nationals, but also Ukrainian nationals who don't have biometric passport may need to obtain a visa right before entering the country. And now, what are the main type of visas? So there are three types, basically. Type C, Schengen visa, short-term visa issued for up to 90 days. And actually, there are two types of this visa. So one is the uniform Schengen visa that permits the holder to remain in the territory of Schengen, so all the Schengen countries jointly for up to 90 days within 6 months. And Schengen visa with limited territorial validity. So this visa is issued for stay in just one or a few identified Schengen countries, but with also validity for up to 90 days. Then the D visa that we will discuss further later, it's the national visa, long-term visa valid for up to 1 year. And this is a visa where one can stay on the basis of which one can stay on the territory of Poland for continuously for up to 1 year or within the visa validity, but also can travel to other Schengen countries for up to 90 days within 6 months. And the third type of visa is an airport visa. So that's a visa issued only for specific nationalities. And this type of visa only permits one to stay in the international transit area of an airport and does not permit entry in the Schengen area or leaving the airport at all. So let's talk a little bit about the visa. There are many categories of visas in the Polish legislation, and as you can see on the right-hand side, so we'll concentrate a little bit on those on the left-hand side, but then the other visa categories that we won't be talking about today are listed on the right-hand side, and you will see that they're quite many, and the type of visa is always directly related for the purpose of stay in the country. And if we were to discuss the visa categories, the most common, I would say, visa categories that we see is definitely those issued for purpose of work in Poland, employment or the basis of temporary assignments, but purpose of work. Visa 05 issued based on special permission. So it's a short-term work permit exemption or work authorization. In Polish, oświadczenie o zamiarze powierzenia pracy. That is available to citizens of Armenia, Belarus, Georgia, Moldova, Russia, and Ukraine. That's Visa 05. Visa 06 on the basis of work permit. So a work permit that an employer of a foreign national or employer to be would obtain for them at the immigration office in Poland. And then on the basis of this work authorization, one would be able to obtain a visa, long-term visa 06. Then Visa 09 for those who are coming to Poland in order to study, and studies is the main purpose of their stay in the country. On the basis of Pol's card, so that's a visa that is designed for those who have a valid Pol's card, karta in Polish. Oh, apologies, I think we've moved a little bit. Karta Polaka in Polish, and this is visa for individuals who, through Karta Polaka, can prove that they belong to Polish nation. And the Karta Polaka itself is not a document that one can use in order to enter Poland, but one that one can use to obtain the long-term visa. And then visas for purpose of reunion with family as the fourth group that I wanted to talk about today. So visa 15, when one is applying on the basis of reunion with EU family member that is residing or traveling to Poland. Number 17, when one is joining a family member who has repatriated to Poland. 17A, when one is joining a family member who has already obtained a permanent residency permit on the basis of Pol's card, Karta Polaka, or Visa 22, when one is joining in Poland an individual, a family member who is residing in Poland on the basis of blue card, so work and stay authorization for highly qualified individuals, and the residency permit proceedings are in process. So these are the main visa categories that we see generally, and of course in my practice we deal with as mainly we assist with those who are relocating to Poland with purpose of long-term stay. But as I said, on the right-hand side, you'll see all the other visa categories that are they available depending on the purpose of visit. And then, what's the visa application process? So the first thing one need to do prior to applying for a visa is to identify the purpose of stay. As I mentioned before, that's the main thing, the visa category, and then supporting documentation required for the application will depend on what's the purpose of stay, of entry and stay um, in Poland. Once this is done, one needs to identify the consulate that will be processing the visa, because that depends on the residency of the residential country of origin and the residential address of one who is applying. Then a very important thing is to visit the consulate's website and carefully read the visa requirements for the specific category. It's extremely important because the requirements will different consulate to consulate sometimes, but depend directly on the visa category. Then fill out the application form. This is usually done through e-consulate and so done online, but sometimes in the countries where the consulates cooperate with visa centers, it may also be done at the visa center or through the internal systems. Usually, once the online application is completed, one is being given an appointment to actually visit the consulate and submit the visa application, because that's generally requirement of the Polish consulates that the long-term visa is supposed to be applied for in person. Then once the appointment is booked, it's important to prepare the visa package, print out the application form, make sure that one has got all the original documents necessary for the applications, as well as copies of these documents. And the requirements, the standard requirements you'll see on the right hand side are basically the main ones. So passport needed for the visa application form, photograph that needs to meet certain requirements, again listed on the consulate's website. Travel medical insurance, it has to have specific coverage, so that needs to be reviewed prior to purchasing the insurance in order to make sure that the one that we've got meets the requirements. And then supporting documentation depending on the visa purpose. So, for example, for those coming to work, a work permit or special permission, for those applying on the basis of family reunion, documentation confirming that they are close family members, so spouses would need marriage certificates, children would need birth certificates, etc., etc. So it's very important to look at the documentation that's required well in advance and have it all ready. Then visa fee needs to be paid and application submitted in person unless one is exempt, and especially now in COVID times, it happens that the applications are being accepted remotely. So if sent by post, for example, but that need to be verified with a specific consulate. Once the application is filed, the consulate needs to process the application, proceed with all the necessary reviews and checks, and that usually takes up to 15 days. However, depending on how busy the consulate is, one can expect to have the visa application process faster, or sometimes it might take more time. Once the visa is ready for collection, the passport needs to be collected and you're ready to go. You're ready to travel. Very important. Always check the visa, whether that's the type of visa you've applied for, if what's the validity of the visa, because what is requested on the application form is not always what is given, because the consular process is to decide on the visa validity as well as its issuance in general. So once received, the visa needs to be reviewed. In case the application is rejected and the visa is refused, and if you disagree with the consulate's decision, there is always a possibility to appeal, and that needs to happen within 14 days of receiving the consulate's decision, as after that time your appeal will not be accepted. Right, so what are the common errors that we see in the applications? Incomplete documentation, again, I said it several times already, but it needs to be reviewed and prepared correctly depending on the visa type. Incorrect photographs, not meeting the requirements, incorrect data in the application form. So application forms are quite lengthy, and all the questions need to be read with understanding and an appropriate answer entered for all of the relevant points. Yeah, there is potentially an interview with the Polish consul at the visa application submission or later during the processing, and it's extremely important to be prepared for this interview, to be clear about the documentation that is being submitted, about the purpose of visit. So, for example, one traveling for work purpose may be asked, a specific questions regarding the employer or employer to be, regarding the position, regarding how they have actually managed to get the position and get an employment offer, etc., etc. So all the questions need to be answered fully, and of course as per the situation one is in. Notice inappropriate medical insurance, again, something I mentioned before. It needs to meet specific requirements, so it's very important to look into that. Not disclosing the previous visa rejections. This is sometimes a problem. The consulate, when processing the application, need to know about the previous rejections, and they will be reviewing that during processing of the application. Damaged or invalid passports, or passports that do not meet the requirements. For example, they don't have 2 blank pages for the visa stamping. This is sometimes always an issue. And generally insufficient explanation for purpose of travel or overall circumstances. So if the consulate is not satisfied with documentation submitted or answers given at the interview, then it may potentially lead to rejection of the applications. And here, maybe for the as we are leading to the end of my time during this meeting, I would like to briefly discuss work permits and exemptions, because again, this is the main purpose. We see people coming to Poland to work. So for purpose of employment, and here majority of non-EU nationals would require a work permit, a work authorization to enter Poland, and then potentially residency permit with right to work, or blue card, niebieska karta, for highly qualified specialists for right to work and stay in the country. But there are also several work permit exemptions and they may be based on nationality. EU nationals would be exempt from the work permit requirement. Belarusian nationals eligible under Business Harbor Program would be also exempt from the visa requirements. And Monika, my co-speaker, will be talking about that a little later. Yeah, those who are eligible for special permission, so on the basis of nationality, again, these are Armenian, Belarusians, Georgians, Moldovan, Russians, and Ukrainians who can apply for a visa on the basis of oświadczenie, special permission. And yeah, within the yeah, nationality-based exemptions, I think these are the main ones. Then on the basis of civil status. So, for example, spouses of Polish citizens who have residency permit based on marriage, or spouses of EU citizens who have residency cards based on marriage are exempt from the work permit requirement in Poland. And the last group would be based on education. So, for example, those who graduated Polish universities, if they've completed full-time studies, would be exempt from the work permit requirement, but also students, full-time students whose main purpose of staying in Poland is um, to study. But if they're full-time students and have university certificates of that, they can be employed in Poland without the need to have a separate work authorization. And for the very end, I would like to go briefly through the group of individuals, foreign nationals, who can actually enter Poland right now, because the list is quite limited. So under the COVID restrictions that we don't think will be lifted soon, there are specific groups that can enter. So those traveling for work purpose and who have work authorization or are work permit exempt, those traveling for purpose of studying or school pupils, guardians of school children who are traveling with them, spouses or children of Polish nationals, citizens of Belarus, EU nationals, holders of Pol's card, holders of Karta Polaka, and of course, specific visa or residency permit issued based on that. Yeah, those who have permanent residency permit or temporary residency permit and residency card, and those of specific professions that are exempt from the entry restrictions right now. Any other individuals trying to go to Poland, to enter Poland these days, would need to receive an entry approval at the border granted by the Polish Guard specifically for their situation. And that's all for me today. Thank you so much. I hope it was helpful. I'll be happy to answer your questions at the end of the session. But should you need any help or any further guidance of visas of Polish immigration, here are my contact details, and we'll be happy to help and assist. Thank you so much. Back to you, Anya.
Thank you, Magda, very much. It was a great presentation. I hope that now everything looks much more clear to our participants. So our next speaker is Mrs. Monika Grzelak from Polish Investment and Trade Agency. Monika, so maybe I will give the floor to you. Monika will introduce you the Poland Business Harbor Program.
Yes, thank you, Anya. I hope you can all see my screen, and that's fine. My name is Monika Grzelak. I work at the Polish Investment and Trade Agency, and I just wanted very briefly to introduce the Poland Business Harbor Program. It's a program that was created by various institutions, including our agency, but first of all, the Chancellery of the Prime Minister of Poland and the Ministry of Economic Development. And the program is meant to support innovators, IT specialists from Belarus. The program, the groups that are eligible to participate in the program, and I'll let you know in a second who the groups are. They get a D-type D23 visa. And with this visa, there are various solutions that were introduced by the program. First of all, it's the accelerated visa path. So applications for the Poland Business Harbor visa have a priority over other applications. The second, people who have received a D23 visa with the PBH signature, they do not require any work permit for 1 year in Poland. And they can apply not only for this visa, not only for themselves, but also to their family members. And all the solutions also apply to the family members. And yet another solution is the possibility to register as a sole trader, which previously was available only to EU nationals and to the holders of the Poles card, the Karta Polaka. And now it's also available to the participants of the Poland Business Harbor program. If you haven't heard about the program, then you can find out more on the government website. You can see the link on the bottom of the page. And the program is dedicated to 3 groups. The first group are the individual IT specialists who need to demonstrate at least or either an experience in the IT sector for at least 1 year or an educational background in the engineering or IT area. The second group, and those IT specialists, when they want to apply for the visa, they need to contact the consulate directly, ideally via mail, but I guess that the next speaker, Mr. Apostolidis, will explain in details how to do it the best. And the second group are the technology startups, which are also eligible for the visas. They at the beginning, when we've launched this program in September of last year, there was a development program and a mentoring program for the startups. However, the best startups have already been chosen. So right now, it's mainly about the visa application. And instead of contacting Startup Hub as previously, the startups should be contacting Polish Investment and Trade Agency as well. Excuse me. And the third group are the enterprises, small and medium size, as well as the large enterprises, who should contact the Polish Investment and Trade Agency if they want to relocate to Poland. We as PI, we also have a special helpline. You can see the number here. And there is, if you visit our website, pi.gov.pl and enter the Poland Business Harbor bottom, then you have all the contact details and also the frequently asked questions. So that's all from my side about the program for today. As I mentioned, you can contact our helpline, or if you have, if you're a company and want to relocate as a company, then you can contact me directly as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Monika. So as Monika has mentioned, all the details about Poland Business Harbor you can find on the governmental website. We will provide you after our today's webinar with the link to this website and also to the Monica's presentation. So you will be able to check this information once again. So now our last but not least guest, Mr. Piotr Apostolidis from the Polish Embassy in Minsk on Belarus. I hope that he will share with you his rich experience. So Mr. Piotr, the floor is yours. I'm just turning on your presentation and we can begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Anna, for your kind invitation. Thank you very much, Invest in Pomerania, for a great program, Leave More Pomerania. It's really pleasure to be here. Thank you, Magdalena. Thank you, Monica, for the presentations you provided. I would like to, Anna, I would like to ask you to help me with the slides, to switch the slides. Okay. Because of the some technical problems. So I think that the first and most important information is that get working visa to Poland, it's easier than you think it is. I know that there are a lot of information that it's really nightmare, that there is a huge requirements of thousands of documents. In this very short presentation, I would like to show you and to confirm that that the situation is much different. Anna, yeah, thank you. The first step, and the most important is find a job, and this is the thing we can't help you as a consular post. So this is absolutely on your side, and this is the thing you should make before you start to think about visa. You can do this through the vacancies published on company's website. If you know the market well. You can also use and contact job and recruiting sites, some job engines, and you can also try to be in contact with employment agencies. These are the three major ways. You should start to think about getting Polish working visa. The next very important thing, and the question is, whom should I contact when I already have the employer, future employer? In Belarus condition, there is Poland Visa Application Center. Actually, there are 8 of these Poland Visa Application Centers in major cities like Minsk, Grodno, Brest, but also in some different locations like Mohylev, Homel, Baranowice, Pinsk, and Lida. And these are the organization where you should ask to get an appointment for Polish working visa. The best thing is to email them. These are free emails to major Poland visa application centers. Of course, when you ask for submitting your applications in other locations, I'm sure that these 3 main locations will direct you to smaller Poland visa application center in Belarus. I would also like to stress that my presentation is very much focused on Belarus, so it can be some differences in practice, but the legal basis is the same. So if you live in Ukraine, India, or anywhere else in the world, these informations are in 19 or 95% also covers your country, and the procedure is very much similar. Yes, the next slide is thank you. The next slide is about the Poland Business Harbor program, and this is very important, as Monica mentioned, program for Poland, and that's why we decided to deal with potential applicants a little bit different. For IT specialists, we ask them to contact directly Polish consulate in Minsk. Now, of course, the first thing which I definitely recommend the future participant is to visit the site of the program and to check to verify if the person, if one's fulfill all the requirements of this program. If the answer is yes, you can contact us directly on our email address, which is down on the page, and then you can wait for our contact. And there are two possibilities: although to make you appointment in a Poland Visa Application Center, or in some cases we will contact the applicant and make an appointment directly in the consulate. The next slide is for non-IT specialists. This is the very important question. What if I'm not IT specialist and I'm not entitled to participate in a Poland Business Harbor program? There are two possibilities to work for non-EU citizens in Poland. First is a work permit, and work permit is a document which is processed in local voivodeship office. The most important information for applicants is that for that document apply a future employer. So you need to be in contact with your employer to be, and he or she take care of this document and send you this document abroad when you live, and you will need this document to apply for a visa. The similar situation is with the second document, which is necessary to work in Poland, and this is the employer declaration registered at local employment center in Poland. But please take note that you can have work permit, and if you have work permit, you don't have to present us employer declaration registered at local employment center. If you don't have work permit, there is the option to have employer declaration. So never you need two of these documents. And again, this document can be obtained by employer to be in Poland. So that's why the most important step is to find a job, to find an employer, and after that the employer can obtain for non-EU these two documents, or one of them, which is necessary to apply for a visa. The next slide is working visa and the documents which are which are required. You can say working visa 1 to 3 because there are only 3 documents which are required to obtain this visa. One is filled in visa application form, and there are 2 options. You can get it from directly from the site of Poland visa application centers across the world, or directly from the site econsulate.gov.pl. This is the site which is posted on the website of the Polish consulates across the world. Then is passport, and then is a copy of previous visas if applies. The second document is this work permit or employer declaration, both in original. That are these documents which were mentioned on the last slide, and these are these documents which can be obtained only by the employer to be. And the last document is travel insurance for a minimum amount of 30,000 euro. And this is the very important change, that the travel insurance must cover whole intended period of stay in Poland. So please take a note of that, and that's it. Of course, you can be always asked by the consular officer to get some extra information or some extra documents, but in 99%, these 3 documents, application form, passport, copy of passport, and the photo, but that's obvious. And the second, work permit or employer declaration. And the third one, travel insurance for 30,000 euro, and that's it. And if everything is okay, you can get a visa. Yeah, thank you for your attention, and I will be happy to take your questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Piotr, for this really interesting presentation. Many practical knowledge. So, okay, I think that now we can start our Q&A session, dear participants. So if you have any questions, then please write them on our chat, in the chat box, and I will be reading them, and our guests will be answering the questions. So the first question which we got from Ruslan Halawanya. Hello, my sister want to visit me this summer for 2 weeks. She will apply for C Schengen visa as a tourist. How much money should she show in her bank account for this trip, 14 days? And can I be her sponsor here for not showing this money from her side in Belarus? Who would like to answer this question, Magda or Mr. Piotr?
I can take these questions. Yeah, it's strictly regarding consular practice. The name is Ruswan, yeah, Ruswan.
Okay, so sorry for a wrong pronunciation.
Ruswan, yeah, then the name. Okay, so Ruswan, actually, you can sponsor the travel of your sister to Poland, but you need to confirm your sponsorship in voivodeship office, in local office, and it means that you need to register invitation for her in local voivodeship. And that's the only possibility that you sponsor her travel to Poland. I think honestly, if she's going to to travel for 14 days to Poland, I think it's much easier if she confirm her ability to cover the possibility to cover all expenses of travel to Poland. There is no, in such short stays, there is no strict requirements regarding how much money should it be. The most important is that we need to, and we will be verify if the income of money is stable. So we rather prefer to have 300 euro per month, but each month, than one income of 10,000 euro. So we need to verify if the person is really rooted in Belarus and has a stable income. And that's it. I wouldn't think it would be a big requirement regarding 14-day travel to Poland to visit brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Piotr. I have another question, and I think that maybe you could also answer it. It's a question from Dennis. Hello, what to do if Pomorski Urząd Wojewódzki w Gdańsku violates the terms for issuing a visa for 3 months? I know that you are in a Belarusian office, but how does it happen? What happens when the time for issuing visa is extended?
But who violates this term, Urząd Wojewódzki?
I guess that here is a misunderstanding, because yes, Pomorski Urząd Wojewódzki issues the permit for stay and work, not visas. But let we stick to visas procedures and what to do when the time for issuing visa extends too much.
Dennis, yeah, I try to answer the question, if I'm not mistaken, regarding this violation of terms of, violation of terms of granting residence permit. I think that you think about this situation. Well, you know that you can legally stay and work or be a student in Poland as long as you get the decision from Urząd Wojewódzki. So I know that it's uncomfortable and inconvenience for the applicant if once apply and doesn't have feedback for a long time, hasn't got a feedback for a long time. But don't worry, it doesn't mean that you can't live and work in Poland legally only because your application in Urząd Wojewódzki is still processing. As far as visa processing visa application form, I think it's impossible that the consular section could process visa application more than 3 months. I can understand that there are some problems with the application, but after 1 month, I think if there are some real problems, you get a negative decision. Your application is denied, but I can't imagine that the consular section is processing application more than three months. Thank you.
Thank you, Piotr. Next question from Tatva. Hello, most second and third cycle studies duration is greater than the first year. So what is a non-EU student supposed to do after landing in Poland with a D-type visa of 1 year duration?
Well, I think I can take this question if that's all right.
Magda.
Yeah. Sorry, my camera is a bit off. So yeah, they should apply for a residency permit on the basis of their studies at arrival to Poland. And as it's been mentioned already, unfortunately, the residency permit applications are lengthy because of the number of applicants that we have in Poland. So the sooner the better. So I would recommend to get a visa, come to Poland, and look into processing the residency permit application immediately. File it at the local immigration office, so it's Urząd Wojewódzki or Voivodeship office, as Piotr called it, and allow enough time to process the residence permit application for the authority.
Thank you, Magda. So the next question from Akash. Hello, sorry, this one we have already answered, sorry. No, we haven't. I got a little bit confused, sorry. The question from Akash. Hello, I will be applying for national D visa for study purposes, master's study. So what is the credit card limit required for it? Magda or Piotr, who would like to answer?
Well, I don't think there is a credit card limit as such. What I think is generally one should be able to present that they, as Pep mentioned before, can afford the cost of living in Poland. But if I remember well, the minimum is if this stays over 4 days, minimum of 75 Polish zloty per day. That's required to cover the accommodation, the individual expenses, etc., etc. But that would need to be double checked.
Okay. Piotr, would you like to add anything?
Yes, yeah, fully agree with Magda. There is no requirements of credit card limits. There is only requirement for the sum of money which prove that the applicant is able to cover his or her stay in Poland. Yeah, so it's I don't think so. It's that the requirements 75 zloty. Yeah, it's per day, but honestly, nobody multiply the days which are planned to be in Poland for 75 zloty. It's just reasonable amount of money. If you going to study in Poland for 1 year, for example, and all your students' expenses are covered, like accommodation, like travel to Poland. I think that the amount of 2 or 3 thousand of euro would be okay.
Thank you. And next question concerns the Poland Business Harbor program. Are the Poland Business Harbor participants eligible for oświadczenie o powierzeniu pracy, declaration of intention, after the 1 year visa based on Poland Business Harbor?
Okay, so the idea of the program and the idea that you're getting a 1 year visa is to use this time to legalize the stay in Poland and not have to apply for another work permit or register any other statements. So I think yes, but then you would need probably go back to Belarus and apply for another visa based on the registered statement. But the idea is that you legalize your stay and don't have to do that.
Okay, so another question, in case if the visa is over after 365 days, what shall that person do? I mean, should apply for the residency permit then, work permit, like for the card?
Yes.
Or
yes, you should apply for the temporary residency permit or residency permit. I think our government website is pretty detailed in informing what are the different options. Yeah, maybe Magda, as you have some experience in legalizing the stay, maybe you can recommend what would be best. But I think the residency permit is the best option.
Definitely, yes. Definitely, the residency permit should be applied for. And again, soon after arrival, just to give the authorities enough time to process the application. Yeah, and depending on the basis for stay. So, for example, if this is employment, one would be applying for we call it combined work and residency permit. So a residency permit with right to work on the basis of employment in Poland. But that's the path that one should take. Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Next question is dedicated to Mr. Piotr. How is it possible to receive Karta Polaka for kids on the basis of their mom's Karta Polaka now?
Now it's very complicated because of restrictions which are imposed on us by Belarusian side regarding the amount of staff working here in the consulate. So honestly, for that moment, we are able to grant a possibility to prolong the term of already existing Karta Polaka. And as far as new application is concerned, the only way is to email or on dedicated email address to Karta Polaka, which is minsk.wk.karta msz.gov.pl and just to wait. But I'm really sorry that the conditions are not very pleasant for the applicants for that moment, but they are, and we can't guarantee that we will be able to process such applications soon.
Okay, thank you, Piotr. Next question from Władysław. Can we get a Polish national visa as a parent of a child that has a Polish card and intend to study in Poland?
Anya, the question was about the national visa or any type of visa?
A Polish national visa. It's a question from a parent of a child that has a Polish card and intend to study in Poland.
Well, I think that the Schengen visa would be more dedicated for more appropriate for such situation. Of course, you are able to, and you have right to visit your kid, your children studying in Poland, but it's rather on the basis of Schengen visa, which entitles the holder to stay in Poland up to 3 months in 180 days. Then a national visa. National visa we can issue in such situations when the applicants present us work permit or employer declaration registered in local authority. So it means for us that parents intend to live in Poland, to work in Poland. If not, if they just declare that they want to visit children, their children, we will process Schengen visa.
Okay. So we are running out of time, but I think that maybe one or at least two more questions we will be able to ask our experts now. Next question is about foreign investors. If they are in China, have never been to Poland before, is it possible to apply for D23 visa from the beginning?
D23 visa is visa for participants of Poland Business Harbor program. So if the person is entitled to participate in that program, from my best knowledge, yes, because this program is not only restricted to citizens of Republic of Belarus, but maybe Monica can confirm that
it is
deny.
restricted. It is restricted to the citizens for Belarus.
Okay.
As for now, there may be some expansion, but let's wait for some official announcements. Yeah, but it's definitely for now it's only for Belarusian citizens. However, Belarusian citizens, if they have residency in China, they can or anywhere else, they can apply in every consulate, but they need to be eligible for the program and have and be Belarusians.
Okay, thank you. There is also a question I've seen about the nearest embassy for visa applicant from Nigeria. Maybe we can provide our viewers with a list of such embassies in different countries. But I think that we can provide you with this link after the meeting, in the information, in the email. We follow the presentations, and then will be the answer where to look for such an embassy. So the last question for today. I have registered for the first cycle studies in Poland. So should I apply for Polish visa after my admission is completed, or can I do it beforehand? And the D-type visa for non-EU students is valid for 1 year. So what do I do after completion of the first year?
So maybe I'll take that. So it's definitely visa application must be submitted past the admission, because a confirmation regarding the enrollment, etc., will be needed for the application. But upon arrival to Poland, residency permit application should be submitted. So in order to cover the long-term stay in Poland beyond the first year of the visa validity.
Thank you, Magda. I would like to thank you all for today's meeting. It was a pleasure to meet you all in one place, and my special thanks I dedicate to all of the speakers. Thank you that you agreed for spending this time together with us, for sharing with us your knowledge, your experience. It was a really great occasion to be hearing to you. So as I've mentioned at the beginning of our meeting, this is the first webinar from our new series, New to Tricity. We will be meeting once per month, and please feel welcomed. Now you can see the plan of our future meetings. I hope you can see it now. So today it was the first meeting about Polish visas from May. In June, we will meet to speak about PESEL and NIP numbers, so some further practical guides. And in July, we will be speaking about apartment rental in Poland. So if you feel interested in those subjects, please feel invited to these meetings. We will be informing you on our social media channels. So please follow our Facebook channel and LinkedIn platform. We will be informing you there about further meetings. It was nice really to have you all here today. Thank you very much and see you on our further meetings.